like my aura is on fire lately. So must be all my sold out shows or these, I guess they're interviews. Conversations. I don't know.
Podcasts.
I wouldn't call myself an interviewer because I ask my questions are too long.
You're a philosopher.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah. You know what? Why not? Speaking of philosopher, which is one of my dyslexia words I avoid at all costs.
Oh no.
So you and I have a bond between us that we're both dyslexic and we both were stuck having to do one of the toughest jobs ever, interviewing people giving away their favorite puppies. So that's how we met. It was America's Newsroom.
Daily Briefing.
Daily Brief. Oh, that's right. It was Daily Briefing.
See, that's why we're both dyslexic, though.
Yes. Okay. What is your magic? The word that no matter what, maybe, no matter what I do, no matter if I'll write it down fast for whatever reason, and I cannot spell it. I always switch the E and the Y it does not matter. It's like my daughter will be like, Dad, how many times have we gone over this? I'm like, sweetheart, it's just, is it the floating that bothers you? Does it make you, were you always afraid? I was afraid to write things down because my teachers would always tear it apart. Were you?
It's not really like that. I would say it's just a processing issue. I describe it as dyslexia, but it isn't exactly that. It just takes me a longer time to absorb information, if that makes sense. And I actually get it from my mom, who, I mean, she says she's dyslexic too, but it's not necessarily reading that we have trouble with. Right. It's just, I have to read an article twice to really understand it. Or, so I have to, if I'm doing a bunch of different tasks, I can't do that. I have to focus on one task at a time.
Yeah, I'm always finish one, start one. If I got two going, they're just going to go.
Exactly.
Go off, and then I'll have 3 or 4 things going, and then someone will say to me, hey, what's going on? Well, I got it. Where are you at? I don't know, over there. So processing information, for me, I rather hear someone say it, because I got it like that. If I hear it and see it, it's locked in.
Exactly. Like, I'm a visual learner. I have to do things to really understand it. And that was the same for me even in lacrosse, too. If we were going over plays, I would need my coach to kind of walk through it with me for me to kind of really, really understand the play.
How were you with left and right?
Oh my God, I have to do this trick, left, right.
Losers.
Yeah.
So I had my offensive line coach got so upset at me because when I was younger and playing, I'd get excited and I would just, if it was 23, which is odd numbers left, even numbers right. And sometimes I'd just go and you just didn't know. So during the game, I had offensive lineman gloves that were white, and he came over and sit down, put your hands out. And he wrote a big L on one and an R on that one. And he was like, right, left, okay? Yeah. And then it was like a thing where I just had to write it on my gloves because and literally they thought I had secret plays because it'd be breaking the huddle and I'd be like, okay, right, going right this time. Well, left. And it was like that. I had to image things, but then once I was able to, do you imagine a lot of things before you do it? Like, even when I read, I have to, put a picture in my head and, create, a story, like almost a movie when I'm reading it.
Yeah.
And I find it's a lot smoother. But if you just told me to read something off the wall and then go explain it to somebody else, I'll be like, hold on, come right back, hold on. Come. You also do the thing where, you try to write down, with a smartphone, because you can just copy and paste.
Yeah.
But when somebody wants to be a dick and just send a picture of the instructions, and then I got to type the instructions down, it'll take me 15 minutes.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's the thing. If someone tells me something and I have to write it down, I'm like, wait. Say that again
slow down.
15 times, and then I'll get it. But you know what? I don't look at it as a negative. I kind of go back to, math I was terrible at. And I would get so frustrated because I would show up at extra help every day and I would work my hardest. And I have a twin sister who's amazing at math. And I would be like, why can't I process this? Why can't I understand this the same way she does? But the truth is, God gives you a different set of abilities and a different set of gifts that you're supposed to have. And, I was never supposed to work in the finance world, and I wouldn't figure that out until later. So it's just all meant to be. And I wish I could go back and tell my 15-year-old self, calm down. It's okay if you fail your math test, because it's not going to be the end of the world.
That, you know what? I just talking to you take me back. The frustration I used to have, especially algebra, was tough. And geometry, well, I seemed to do better when I could draw shapes and stuff. It was a lot easier for me, so things got easier. But I just remember the N and the X and all that stuff. And I'd be in a test trying to write the stuff down. If he would let me just talk it out loud, I'd probably get, but that's not how things work in school. So I was always a D, F student.
But you were the jock.
Yeah, but I wasn't a good jock yet.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like they will try to, but this is when you're younger, when it's like your sport is recess.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Well, they're not seeing like, oh, he's a big kid, but then you got to deal with other stigmatism. Well,
yeah.
He comes from a single mom. He's never had his dad in his life. He has free lunch anyway. So you get caught up in those programs. Plus, when I was coming up, I'm a little older than you are. Mm-hmm. It wasn't something that was looked for. Mm-hmm. It was just, you were just dumb.
Yeah.
And it was just and I had to deal with it because my brother was younger, but he was smarter and not smarter on paper. He looked smarter in math and stuff. But if I saw something, I could be like, oh, this, and this. So it's not until you move up in the world, because it wasn't until I was like I think it was 7th grade where my home ec, I don't think we have a homeroom teacher anymore. I'm probably speaking crazy. But you would start your day with a home teacher, and she would tell you that you go off to your classes. And she was like, I think you're dyslexic. Yeah. And I don't think you're dumb. But by that time, we had to find creative ways. So I really learned about it later in my education life. And then but I think it helped because I was old enough to understand, so I could catch myself more. When was it that you became comfortable? Was it college? Was it high school? Because I know obviously it was a struggle when you were younger, especially when you have a twin sister. That's got to be a lot.
Honestly, I feel like everything clicked for me at my internship. I was like going back to high school.
So it wasn't until you're out of. You intern when you're still in college, right? You don't graduate.
Yeah, it was my sophomore going into my junior year. And I was like, wow, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm good at. And, I was so lucky because, I worked with the Daily Briefing, where I worked with Jennifer Williams and Dana Perino. And they're just such strong women. And I was like, wow, I want to be like them. But also at the same time, I see myself doing this. And I know that I can do this. But, it's so funny because going back to when we first walked in today, you remembered that I was dyslexic, which I shared with you. And it's just so crazy going back to that time. I thought that, I would never be able to be in front of a camera. I would never be able to have a voice. Yeah, you said those things.
You were like...
But I guess now as I grow and I try new things, that's something that I really want to do. But it's so funny because you're the first person I really shared those fears with. So it's just crazy, and this is just a full circle moment because this is really my first opportunity to really kind of see how I do at this gig.
Right, yeah, and we're going to do that because we're going to switch this.
Oh, no,
we're going to switch this. Yeah, I'm only hosting half this. I've adjusted my contract. So, and then the rest of the show, you're gonna take over. So, be fair with the questioning, ma'am. We're all friends here. But going back to that, first of all, Jennifer Williams is a boss. Dana Perino is a boss. And man, woman, regardless, they are. And Dana's been a mentor of mine really since I've been here. And America News Briefing was, before it became America's Newsroom, that was a huge launching point for me because people started seeing another side of me that you wouldn't necessarily see on Gutfeld, which at that time was on Saturday nights. You saw me for 40 minutes, and I talked, I think, on average about a minute and a half in each segment. So that really changed things. And we both have a love for dogs, which... and Jenny, her work with Canine Companions is unbelievable. And Dana Perino, and anything about. And I even have a dog named after me, Tyrus. And then there's Dana. I know. And we went to graduation, and what Jenny does is, she takes a puppy, loves it, raises it, and then gives it away to go to college to be able to help people, veterans in particular. With their everyday life. And it's a tough thing to raise it up. And then we were there at the graduation where the people who the owners who raise the donors get to say goodbye to their young best friend as he starts his new life with his new owner and partner and best friend. That's an emotional nightmare. Now, I had made it in my mind that you're not getting any tears out of me. I was not having it because I have a reputation, and you were doing pretty good. And I think the one was, we were sitting there, and as she brought the dog, and it was all good. Everything was good. And everyone was like, Jenny came in with the dog and was like, hey, everything. We were like, all right, you got to get the dog away. the camera's going to be here. We're going to do this. And as soon as the dog looked to the new people, it was just waterfalls. Like, it was just, and I was just like, not me. No, I'm good. By the corner of my eye, I couldn't help it. And I said, but they got you. At least 2 strong tears. You had at least 2 good tears, but you helped. But the segment went phenomenally. You did great, but it was emotional. It was a weird, how do you describe it? It was like one of the saddest, happiest moments at the same time.
Because you're so proud of Spike and of Jen. But I mean, I only knew the dog for 3 months, and I was so attached to him. I can't even imagine what Jen was going through giving Spike away. I mean, she actually got him back, which is incredible.
But she does it again.
She keeps doing it again and again and again. And, one of the most important things I learned at my internship is, this industry's crazy.
Yes.
And it's very chaotic. And you honestly have to stay close to something that you're passionate about. My mom has been dealing with breast cancer for 19 years. And, I'm going to make this big one day, but I wear pink every day in October for my mom to raise awareness and raise money for breast cancer. And it's something that's really close to my heart. And, there are always those tough days, and it helps, it helps to remind yourself that that's really what matters. And that's something that I really took away from Jen and Dana, because Jen works with CCI, and then Dana works with Mercy Ships, and that's a piece of advice that I think will stay with me my entire career.
What do you think your genre is? Like, what are your motivating passions? Because you've said a lot of things. You talked about God, so obviously religion has has influenced you. You talk about family, and of course doing the work with the intern and stuff. What would your show look like? What would you focus on when you see everything out there? What do you think's missing? I kind of have an idea in my head, but I want to see what you were at for. Where do you fit in it?
Yeah, I honestly feel like there are so many women who don't feel confident in being conservative, and especially as a former Division I athlete, it's crazy that we have to fight to keep female sports female, but that's the world we live in now. I mean, it's crazy too, because all these feminists are saying,
Where are they?
Exactly, especially with these boxers. I mean, they're the ones that are ripping podium spots away from women, and women are getting hurt. And so, I mean, that's definitely an issue I'm really passionate about. But just going back to college, I wasn't confident in being conservative. I was an undercover conservative. So I would want to have a voice for younger women and to really make them feel more confident in who they are. Because, I mean, actually, when it got to the point where after my Fox News internship, teachers hated me, and they would get in screaming matches with me. I was always independent. I would play both sides. But, towards my senior year, I wanted to do a project on George H.W. Bush, because he had a relationship with, or a pen pal relationship with someone in my town who has Down syndrome, and he has built this, John's Crazy Socks? He's been all over Fox.
Yes.
So he's built this empire, and he has made millions of dollars off these socks. And I said, hey, I want to do an interview on this subject. And my teacher screamed at me, no, you can't do that. It's not worth talking about because he wasn't assassinated. And I said, hey, I'm going to do this. And I don't care if my grade reflects that. And he's like, okay, well, you're going to get a bad grade. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do it great. And it was the best. Did. Yeah, and it was the best package in the class, and I got Dana to do a cameo in it, and he was very impressed, and of course he gave me a B- still, but...
Hey, he probably would have gave you an F if he could have.
Exactly. But
where does that fire come from?
But yeah, I look back at that moment, and
that doesn't sound like someone who's afraid to speak, though, because...
Yeah.
So having that fire when you're pushed, don't push you, because you're naturally close to the edge, like the rap song Tension reference, and what... Oh, there's no way here with a gray beard besides me. Never mind. But having that fire helped you in sports and stuff. Was sports difficult for you with dyslexia, other than just plays and stuff, or was there a stigmatism? Because sometimes people don't understand stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And the one nice thing about dyslexia is nothing rhyme with it. Mm-hmm. So it was difficult to make, it wasn't a word that kids could make fun of you with, because they're like dyslexic, and it doesn't, it actually almost sounds cool. Like you're double jointed. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was luckily in that aspect of things that it wasn't something that people made fun of because it's such a hard thing to target.
Yeah.
It's such a personal thing, and it usually happens when you're reading, which is not something you do in groups and stuff like that. I know when you're younger and you have to read out loud, sometimes it can be difficult. But other than that, was it working through that always keeps your fight? Is it a chip on your shoulder? Because I always had a chip on my shoulder. I was always looking for that fight. And some people, it's not that way. It's an inner fire where it's like, when I feel like I'm wronged, then it comes out. Do you have a chip, or is it more of like don't mess with me, I won't mess with you, but if you do, it's hot fire?
Oh my gosh, my parents would definitely describe me as someone that has fire inside of me.
Yes, okay.
And I feel like that was reflected on the lacrosse field, and even playing soccer growing up. My nickname was the Bulldog, because even if the goalie had the soccer ball in their hands, I would try to kick the soccer ball out of their hands and score a goal.
So you're just a thug.
Exactly.
Okay. And that's fine. And it's channeled, right? Because the difference between a villain and a good guy superhero is thought process. Because all roads to evil are paved with good intentions. So, but when used, and like I said, I had a chip. I was always looking like it's almost, and that's the chip never comes off. So you never really find peace until you gotta realize the only way you get the chip off is by you knocking off. But that fire, you control it and you use it so now you have this fire passion when your back's pushed against the wall, and then now you're using it to push open doors here, because we had a conversation when we were driving back from the thing, and I was like, hey, what do you want to do when you get to where you want to be? And you were like, I'd like to be in front of the camera, but my dyslexia, I don't know. And I was like, whoa, hold on. I'm dyslexic. That's not an option.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, you were like, well, I didn't really think of it that way. And then talking to you now, you're like, I'm going to take your job, which I thought was rude. You know what I'm saying? But that's fine. That was a fire. You got to do what you got to do. But just straight up, like, I asked the first, hey, how are you? Oh, I'm good, by the way. I'm going to take your job. So
stay on watch.
Yes, thanks. I'm always white. I'll keep my head on my six. But that fire, though, I noticed and like I said, we haven't had a lot of interaction. Worked together a couple times. We passed in the hallway a few times, and then we started working together. I see you on this show, and I was like, hey, what's going on? It's been 5 years is a long time. But it's a total different person. I don't think we could have done this interview 5 years ago without you giggling and be like, well, I don't know, I just happy to be here. But now you seem laser focused in. So now I can ask you, like, before we turn this over to your show, first of all, what would you even call your show? Like, now that's a tough thing, because name is everything.
That's true.
The only time it's ever worked is Gutfeld, because that name does not sell comedy, but it worked. So with the exception of that, like, what would it be? Would it be the last name? Is it a concept?
McDuffie's lame. But if I had an Instagram handle, I would call myself Conservative Caity.
Conservative, so CNC.
Exactly.
So it's another episode of CNC.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to think on that one.
Yeah, well, seeing how you're about to have your own show, okay, we'll call it CNC for this one.
Okay. All right.
Would you have a guest co-host, or would you do it all? Would you do all the heavy lifting yourself?
Oh my gosh, I would love a co-host. I feel like you need to have a co-host so it's an organic conversation. And especially nowadays, like, do you know Aaron and Carissa? They have the podcast Calm Down.
Yes.
Aaron Andrews and Carissa Thompson. I just love the way that they're just best friends, and you can tell, and you kind of get a glimpse into their relationship. So I love that. I would love
you
to
like
have
banter.
I like to banter, yeah.
So you need to so bantering with conservative bantering.
Yeah.
We're getting anyone. Feel free. Like, you don't have to be scared, guys. If you got a great idea and it's great, I'll take credit for it. If it's bad, I'll have you edit it out. So it works. There's no pressure here. So if the name of the show pops in your head, please jump in. Worst case scenario, I get credit for it. You don't. Other thing, I'll complain about you, and no interview for you here in a few years. So, okay, we got the name down. Co-host, would you want funny co-host, or would you want like polar opposite, or you want someone who you want echo chamber?
I would just want someone. I mean, I guess like I would love someone with humor. Like, I feel like we're just describing like what I'm looking for in a relationship. I don't know. Maybe.
You know what though? Work. It's kind of the same thing in a way. You want it. Everybody wants to be heard, respected, and be successful and positive. So it's kind of like one and one and one, you know. And when your boyfriend watches this, he can take notes.
Exactly.
Okay, you work on that. So this is all covered. But would you want to talk about the news of the day, or would you want to talk about how people are doing in terms of like tips on mental health and like things to be checking for, being more conscious of health? Like, we're learning a lot about a lot of lies that we've been told in this country in terms of nutrition. The food pyramid is anything but that.
See, I don't think about that stuff at all. I'm just eating a burger and fries.
Oh, because you have metabolism and you're young, yes.
Yeah, my metabolism's crazy, so I don't have to worry about that. But I don't know. I'm trying to think. I mean, what was the question again? See, I'm not off to a good start.
No, what are you talking about? There's no wrong question. And I said that, listen, I ask long questions because let's say, like, what would your area be? Like, what would your would you want to be mental health and talking about things like everyday things people can get through, or you want to get into the real big topics and news stories of the day?
I would want to do rapid response videos on the news of the day. Like, okay. I feel like, honestly, like my big pitch for anyone that's watching, I think there needs to be a short version of the 5 on digital news. Like, have a 3-minute Snapchat show going through all the headlines and having... write this down.
Oh, good.
But have it be like the 5 where, 3 young hosts are sharing their opinion. Like, I feel like that.
And young is anywhere from the age of what? We talking here 25 to 85 because it's Fox, or are we talking like 25 to like 40? Like, what's the cutoff? What's the ageist?
I'm definitely not ageist, but I feel like, especially conservatives, we're doing nothing to secure younger voters. Or
so you want young, hip, like kind of like...
Yeah, bring in the 18-year-olds, 18 to 25, I would say would be
18 to 25
target audience.
And which no one else is doing.
Exactly, and it needs to be done at Fox and at OutKick.
Because 25 to 50, that's my world. So 18 to 25 is all you. You can have it. And, well, actually, I have to apologize to my silver foxes. They don't look a day over 55. But.
Well, because don't you see media is completely changing and moving online, and it's going to be insanely different in the next 20 years? Like, that's why you need to invest in social media, and that's why OutKick is such a great place to be, because we're really, the future of the news. Everything's going to be online.
And that was a plug for those of you at home who are learning. You're doing great here. What would be your dream interview? Who would be the dream interview to sit across from? Taylor
Swift.
Taylor's?
But okay. I know she's ultra woke, but
is she ultra woke? I think
deep down she's conservative because she has a lot of money.
Put labels on people for marketing and stuff, but she seemed to be, and again, you never know what's real. And as someone who's done movies and stuff, you never know what's real and what's not real. But she, and if it was her publicist, him, her, whatever, is a genius, because she came across as the coolest girlfriend on the planet.
Yeah. Is your daughter into Taylor Swift?
No.
No? Okay, so you raised her to be cool. Her mom are
into, like, Coldplay.
Wow.
And, like, they go to Coldplay concerts.
That's really cool.
She went to Fleetwood Mac. She's got, like, an old soul. Got a weird thing in my house since now it's your interview. We have a weird thing where she will sing a song that she does not know.
So she's going to be a singer one day.
No, she's a monster. Well, you know what? She could, but her passion right now is equestrian riding, her education, and fashion design. So
I got it.
So she's into like her little outfits and stuff right now. Like,
okay, so she's a future designer. But you're obviously so big here at Fox, and
yeah, I don't fit in anything, not even this chair.
Yeah, you're super tall.
Yeah,
okay.
It's all good.
No, but...
You're not exactly short yourself, but that's cool.
I am tall. I'm 5'10", for those who... I mean, they can't tell because I'm on a tiny screen right now, but I am very tall. But, how do you protect your family in this industry being so well known?
The biggest thing is that you draw hard lines.
Okay.
It's huge. Like, I wear a hat on TV, right? But with my kids, it's become symbolic because... when I pull my hat around, it's dad hat.
Okay.
So when I'm at home, my kids is dad hat. And when dad hat's on, there's no Tyrus. My name's Dad. And when we go places, the thing for me is I'm always letting them know when I'm with my children, I don't take pictures, anything like that, because I'm not ever going to be in a situation where I have to tell her mother that, oh, I can't find my kids because I was taking a selfie with a stranger. So
that's true.
That's the biggest thing. And knowing sometimes you just have to understand certain things are just not on the table anymore. Like I just can't casually go down to catch a Yankees game and sit in the stands and relax. Like it's just not happening. And that's a result of the work. But you have to embrace it too. You need to make time for your fans. But it's also hard because we're human beings. And here's a perfect example. Diehard Red Sox fan. And I'm watching the Red Sox play I think it was the Royals. And then we needed the game and we got a young rookie up. I think Royals his name. He gets hit in the foot and, they hits a home run. He's in the dugout and he's crying. And like they're zooming in on him. His buddy says, your foot? No. And then, he starts talking and the announcer said something awesome. He was just like, hey, we're going to pull back. And because you know what? We forget sometimes that they're human beings. And we don't know what happened. His girlfriend could have dumped him. Someone could have been sick. Things happen, but the game goes on. And then he comes back up the next inning, or the next time he's up, he hits another home run. So then, of course, everyone's like, well, he should be sad more often. But there's that human side of it that sometimes the fans don't connect with.
Yeah.
Because when they see you, it's on their time. And they're stopping what they're doing, whether they're going, whatever their routine was that day, it wasn't, oh, I'm going to run into Tyrus at the airport.
Yeah.
So they go out of their way to let me know that they appreciate the work that I'm doing. And simply acknowledging and say, hey, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Goes a long way. Mm-hmm. But I never got the celebrity who acted like they were annoyed.
Yeah.
That people recognized your success. Now, it can get extreme. It can be tough. I mean, there are days when I argue and have issues, that kids misbehaving, wife's pissed off, best friend lost his job, all the stuff we deal with. Greg wrote 17 poop jokes and wants to get them all in on a 40-minute show. There are things that you have to deal with, and it's not always convenient for you. And sometimes you want to say, like, hey, I'm having a bad day.
Yeah.
Not today, bruh. My son's eating paint chips.
Yeah.
And, you have those things, but you have to remember you got to take it in stride. And people listen.
Yeah.
And you draw hard lines, and you stay within yourself. You stay humble. And remember that this is over like that.
Exactly.
I cannot. You're one bad joke away, or, which happens a lot in entertainment, you just get old.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you're just, meh. They've seen you. And it's like, and then you want to reinvent yourself. Yeah. And then that's when it gets bad.
Oh, no.
That's when it gets horrible.
The rebrand. I mean, have you seen JoJo Siwa? She was like, your daughter's
My daughter
friend,
went to her
because your
concert.
daughter's, okay, wait, that's surprising, because you said she likes Coldplay.
She was like 4, and it was in New Orleans, and the JoJo Siwa thing just started, and her mom and her mom's sister and took them to the thing, and they were dancing or whatever, and then...
Well, have you seen her now?
My daughter doesn't like her now.
Well, she's like dripping rainbow. She has pronouns everywhere. She's the face of Target.
People will do and if that's her belief system, good for her. But I think also going extreme for the money is within its own thing. Mm-hmm. My daughter's actually into AC/DC now. That's really
that's cool.
Thunderstruck, because that's how she gets ready for her equestrian and soccer games.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, she's also a thug on the soccer field. Her nickname's Thunderfoot because she can score.
I can relate to her.
She can score from half. She can score from the kickoff. Like, if you're not watching her, she can. And goalies tend to go the other way.
See, I had to kick the ball out of the goalie's hand.
Did you celebrate?
Oh, yeah. I mean, honestly,
Why don't girl athletes celebrate more? I don't.
Really?
I gave my daughter all my stuff.
Okay.
The dap, the caw when you score, like you're flying eagle, all that stuff. And when she first broke it out, the other girls were like, So then she stopped, and then the next season she got with girls that were like vicious like her.
Yeah.
And then every time to score, it was a party. I mean, it was just like, it's part of the game. You watch the boys playing soccer, they run and slide, and they're like pulling their shirts around, and they're screaming and carrying on. And when the girl scores, like, yay, good job.
No.
But that's not who my daughter is.
I've never experienced that.
My daughter will swing by me and be like, dap, and I'll be like, good stuff,
Honestly, so my coach is honestly the Donald Trump of women's lacrosse. Like, he's outspoken, he's gonna speak his mind, but he's also like, we're gonna go to the best steak dinner in town before our game, and he's gonna show up in his Armani suit, and he's like, and you're gonna celebrate your ass off when you're beating someone 18-0. We're still gonna celebrate like we just won the national championship. So that's always the mindset I've had. So that's kind of shocking to me.
Why do you think, especially given, to tie this in a bow, given what we're seeing at the Olympics, which is disgusting, and I'm like, I just witnessed, for lack of a better terms, getting a gold medal for domestic violence. I mean, there was only one way really to describe it.
Disgusting.
And it's a very simple process. XYs fight XYs, XXs fight Xs. We don't even need to get into, you wear a skirt, suit, do whatever the hell you want to do in your own time, but if you got a XY, you fight with us. You got an XX, you fight with him. And that seems to me pretty across the board, and we see this. And I don't understand why it's always a combative sport, or why is it always a situation where they failed at one side, and then all of a sudden they show up on the other with swimming and stuff like that. So I don't think it's fair to say it represents the trans community, because it doesn't.
Yeah,
it's these individuals that are attempting to use group cover to do their own thing. It's just like, I hate grouping in general, but how do we get that message out to where it's important to support girl athletes, but also at the same time want them to have that same fire like you have, and not, because for a long time it was considered unladylike. You know, it was just like these dumb stigmatisms or stereotypes of women athletes.
Yeah.
I think in some cases have opened the door for this type of stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's just girls playing sports. It doesn't really matter. It's not like they're going to go pro. So, like, you know, and I just always found that disgusting, that type of attitude where a men's sport, he could go. So we got to, you know, all the energies and respect given. But we're starting to see that change, you know, and I'm for that. But at the same time, has that opened the door for opportunists like we're seeing with boxing and swimming and volleyball and track meet, stuff that where these young men should be competing with other young men?
Yeah, I mean, well, the bottom line is I'm not transphobic. I don't have hate in my heart. That's what people like to label me for having this opinion. The reason why I'm so passionate about this is because being an athlete has made me who I am today. I'm going to wake up earlier than everyone else. I'm going to work harder than everyone else. And I mean, you know it too as an athlete. It stays with you your entire life. And to think that young girls that are working their entire life at even the Olympic level, they're having that dream taken away from them, that's not reality. And unfortunately, that's just the world we live in, where it's just gone way too far. But, you know, I think it's just time for everyone to have a little bit of common sense. And just
the adults in the room need to come back, because again, at the highest level, like the Olympics, cameras and all these experts, but there isn't cameras down at the high schools.
No,
there's not cameras that are costing young ladies opportunities for scholarships. Like, it seems to me that it just was a very harsh, you know what, take it. And it goes back to that toxic masculinity I like to throw out. But what's more toxic than having biological men take the place of women in women's sports? That to me is about as toxic as it gets.
And it's ripping away opportunities from women. Like, for me, lacrosse was my way to get into college and have it paid for. I mean, my parents, I went to Catholic school my entire life. That was a big sacrifice they made. And when it was time for me to decide what school I was going to go to, I was going to a school that was giving me the best scholarship and the best opportunity. So to think that, you know, Leah Thomas is stealing scholarship money away from women and stealing futures away from women.
Trophies, championships,
podium spot. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And I mean, at this point, and it's crazy because you're not feminist if you don't support this, and you're not feminist if you don't support Kamala Harris. Because I mean, these days you can't actually have a conservative thought in the circle of women who are just so brutal. Because, you know, if you think that's the thing. It's like feminism preaches independence, but you actually can't think for yourself.
Yeah. Well, okay. And we talked about that side of it with the men infringing on women's sports, but look at the situation with Caitlin Clark, who has brought eyes to women's basketball and has been treated like she's a criminal. Like, it's just, even when there's opportunities for women's sports to be independent, because before the WNBA was a subsidy league, which means that on average, every player in that league, if it was about being fair, would owe the NBA about $80,000 a year.
Yeah.
Because the league just wasn't making money with the salaries and whatnot. Here comes someone who's lightning in a bottle, who you make the same comparison she's doing for women's basketball, what was being done with Larry and Magic. And back with the NBA, at one time, the NBA was recorded, and you watched NBA championships like at 12 o'clock at night. Like it did not have that, and it took two guys coming in to change it, and then Michael Jordan came and just made it, to where it is today. It was the thing, and LeBron's kept it going, et cetera, et cetera. The WNBA has been kind of looking for that one star. They've been close. They've had some incredible athletes, but we haven't seen the crossover in terms of getting everyday people to hey, I want to watch this. Caitlin Clark did that. Now, were there other young ladies? Was there other LSU's championship run and things like that? Are those? Yes, but it was Caitlin Clark that brought it. Here she gets to the WNBA, and you see all this. I hate using the word hate, but it just seems like nonstop hate from someone who should be celebrated for, and she's doing. I mean, if she doesn't get Rookie of the Year, she got snubbed from the Olympic team. How much is that? But what's more frustrating for you, seeing that happen in those cases, or even when you're doing everything right, you're still being treated like you're not doing enough? And is it the race thing? Is it because of her sexuality? She doesn't check enough boxes? What do you think the issue is?
I don't think she checks enough boxes, but I look at her and I'm like, okay, she should be on the Olympic team. Bottom line, that's absolutely ridiculous. She's done so much to grow the game, but at the same time, she's using all these setbacks as fire.
Yes,
and it's going to make her a million times better than she already was. She didn't make the Olympic team already in high school, and then she came back 2 years later. Or a year later, and she made the team above her for a year older. So I just know that, she has such a high level, and I'm proud that she represents women so well, because she has hate thrown at her left and right, and she doesn't give an inch to these people. She handles herself with such grace. So, I mean, I'm all in. I'm invested in Caitlin Clark, even though I don't really care about women's basketball, but I'm really rooting for her to succeed.
Because it's kind of women's fault, right?
Yeah, they're so catty. Well, yeah, that's very true.
It's 1,000% women's fault. Mm-hmm. Guys, we go to the WNBA, but we're the feminists. I keep making jokes that it turns out us alpha male are the feminists.
Yeah.
Because we're the ones going, wait, no, that's not right. You can't let guys like us compete against women. And, whoa, we can't. We should. So it's ironic, because we're looking for the feminists, and they're nowhere to be found.
And they're tearing the greatest thing that has ever happened to women's basketball down.
It could be, and the rivalries that could go there. But, I would love to take my daughters and my sons to a WNBA game. Mm-hmm. But I don't also want my kids going, why are these people being this, and why is that, and why is all this that, and why is she not good? Why don't they like her? It's just, the distractions are not worth it. And I think that's a turnoff to a lot of. Because if you have families going to your events, in wrestling, I always said, when you walk out to a crowd and you look at the crowd and you see families,
yeah,
you're growing and things are going phenomenal. Mm-hmm. When you walk out of the crowd and see a bunch of 40-year-old dudes with NWO shirts on, you're like, yeah, it's almost over, bro. So WNBA has families coming in, and then there's all this chitter-chatter and negative talk around their most watched player.
Yeah.
It's a detriment to families wanting to go. I think, I said, attendance is up, everything's good now, but in long term, do you think this type of anytime, and it just seems, because she's white and I guess straight, I don't know, it's none of my business.
Yeah.
But that seems to be all they want to talk about, the fact that she's averaging more assists than a rookie, that she's putting up incredible numbers, and we never hear about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the All-Star game, she really proved herself, and then Dawn Staley was having her regrets. But, going back to what you said about families, I really do think, as a former Division I athlete, the greatest responsibility that you could have is being a role model to young kids. And I think Caitlin Clark is doing that. She's handling herself with such grace. But, and you see all these football players that are running around with porn stars and being absolutely ridiculous. But, whether you're in sports or, you're just in the workforce, that's the greatest responsibility you have, is just helping younger people, become great people, especially in this crazy world where, I mean, wokeness is completely taking over.
Who do you rely on for most of your advice and stuff? Because you're well-rounded, very. Like, who do you go to when you're puzzled? Like, who's your go-to? Do you have?
Gosh, I have so many. I'm very lucky. I'm supported by so many people. My twin sister, if I have a problem, I'm calling her and she has an answer. I feel bad. I'm like usually calling her. I'm like panicking, like, what do I do? But she always just calms me down and has the right thing to say. And the same thing with my mom. She really, I mean, she would always say when we were growing up, like, the best thing that I could do as a mom is make sure you guys are dirty getting into the bath club or getting into the bath.
Which is a very, that's very deep, you know, because that means you've been putting in work.
She poured her heart into raising us, and, she goes through so much. I mentioned earlier in the interview that she has breast cancer and she's been dealing with it for 19 years. But if I ever call her with a problem, she's always there for me, and she's always there to support me, and also never complains about what she goes through.
So you were raised by a warrior.
Oh, she's a badass. She's my best friend, and it's honestly amazing. Like, she really is a miracle. I mean, imagine dealing with breast cancer for 19 years. I mean, she really defies all odds, but it's only because she has a positive attitude. Because I really don't think she would be where she is.
I've never seen you in a bad mood.
Oh, really?
I missed it, but.
Yeah. I mean, how could I complain when I see what my mom goes through? What do I have to complain about that's so bad? I mean, things get stressful in life, but like it puts into perspective what really matters.
Okay, now before we end this interview, I have to ask, because I always have twin. You guys have any secret twin powers? Like, if you call her, does she just know it's you? Or like you guys? Okay, so I interviewed I always forget. I'm terrible with names. My Biden stuff's kicking it. The twins that play for the Seattle Seahawks, and one was he was born without he had to have his hand removed, right? And I'm doing an interview with those guys. They will live, and they'll be on opposite sides. And this was when his younger brother was still in school, and he was playing with the Seattle. And he said, like, they would eat the same food without talking to each other. Like, they both ate spaghetti, both had steak. Like, they would order the same exact food, even though they were in completely different states, different time. Like, they had the same cravings. Do you guys have any weird, like, twin stuff?
No, we don't have any twin powers. We're complete opposites, but that's what makes us so great is, I always say this, that if you're, like, around my age and grew up with Disney Channel, she's Miley, I'm Hannah. Because she has brown hair and I have blonde hair.
I have young daughters. So
yes, there, you know that.
Okay.
No, but we're complete opposites, and I wouldn't have it any other way. We did have the same friend group in high school. We did play lacrosse together. She played lacrosse too at Holy Cross. But it's such a blessing to be able to be different.
How competitive were you guys in lacrosse?
Oh my gosh, I wouldn't say we were competitive.
It's unfair. She's not here to defend herself, so might have to do a part two.
I will say this. I did
to make sure this
Stony Brook University, you might not know this, but I mean, I was on it when it was the #1 ranked team, and Holy Cross never made it close. They weren't that great of a school. So I'll just leave it at that. But no, my twin sister is an amazing lacrosse player. I tore my ACL once. So if you see that scar, you can zoom in on camera. And you probably have a million knee injuries. But she tore both of her ACLs. So her senior year.
Did you feel it?
No.
Okay, sorry. I'm just trying to get one.
I wish though, but honestly, going through.
Okay, wait. Can you guys play what's the game where one person draws something and the other one?
Okay, how about we have her on this show next time and we'll
do part two, yeah.
She's camera shy though, so we'll see. I'll have to convince her to come on the show. But how about this? She's getting married in October and I have to give a speech. What would be your best piece of public speaking advice?
First thing, I would mention the differences in your colleges.
Okay.
As a national rank, the reason why I'm here today is speaking.
That's good.
I was just put in just a little bit of my background.
Okay.
And, while I'm slaying and conquering the media world.
So make the speech about me.
Make it about you in the beginning.
Okay.
To where your sister thinks, I can't believe she's doing this.
Okay.
Then hit her with an amazing compliment.
Okay.
Amazing compliment.
Got it.
And she's all these things considering the fact that her school was never ranked.
Okay.
And I love her anyways. I think that's how I would do it.
Okay.
But feel free. Just threw it up there.
I'm honestly just going to I'll put my speech on your desk and you could go through it with a red pen. Okay.
Or just, or maybe bring her, like, I want you off to the best start. You and your husband and your honeymoon and all this in your future together. And I want to give you I was going to give you some advice, some championship advice to have a championship of life and marriage, but instead I'm giving you an autograph jersey of my number 1 ranked college lacrosse player. You can put on the wall for every day that you and your husband wake up in the morning. You just hit that on your way out and know that you're going to be the best you can be. Like, you can, that's what I would do. But then again, I'm never invited to weddings. So.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll get you an invite and you could just, I'll just like introduce you and I'll just say, this is the speech. Tyrus is taking over.
Yeah,
he knows exactly what to say.
Not to say it. I don't want to, I never like to sound it. Okay. So now all right, before I let you go, Fox News contributor, Fox News host.
We'll see. Honestly,
superstar panel. Like, what's the goal? Say it now, because we're going to come back.
I told you my biggest goal is to do a digital version of the 5. I think that Fox News really needs to invest in Youthful 3. How about you be a co-host on it? You could be a part of it.
Yeah, as long
this
as
could be big for you.
This could be. I need a break.
This could be.
I need
your
something
big break.
Quick. You need digital. I can do it from home.
You 4-minute show.
Oh yeah, no problem. I can get a lot done. Everyone else in? We're in for that.
All right, there we go.
Yeah, he threw his hands up, so he's all in. All right.
Okay, we got producer Nick on board.
So much, and I look forward to your success. And we've come a long way from the dog show, but I think wonderful things are going ahead. I wish you all the best. And like I said, don't take my job. Do I have to show you pictures of my kids?
No one's safe.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate it. Other than that, it's all yours.
Thank you, Tyrus. Thank you for having me on.
Awesome.